Thank you, guys. As students get ready to head back to school, one Florida district in Sarasota is laying out new rules on students' cell phone use. It's in Sarasota County. The elementary students can have their phones, but they must be silenced and put away at all times. Middle schoolers must put phones away, but can use them with teacher permission if it's relevant to the lesson. In high school, students can use phones in between periods and during lunch. So the question is, should schools be allowed to regulate phone use, or should that be left up to the parents? Here to debate this is the pit bull of personal development, Larry Winget, and parenting expert Erica Katz. Thanks, both of y'all, for being with us.
You bet.
Erica, you don't have a problem with kids taking their cell phones to school, right?
Well, unfortunately, we don't live in the same world that we grew up in. And if there is an incident in school, I want to make sure that my kids can reach me. And if there's an incident outside of school, I want to be able to reach them. There is no worse feeling as a parent than when you can't reach your child.
Larry, what are your thoughts?
Listen, I think we ought to ban cell phones in schools. We ought to ban them at home during dinner. We ought to ban them in restaurants and movie theaters. We've already banned them in most states in cars because we've proven you can't drive and have your cell phone on at the same time, because this is a distraction. It's a distraction for kids to have them in the classroom too.
Now, what if you need it for an emergency? I mean, like Erica brings us a good point. We're living in a different age where we're having school shootings, unfortunately, Larry. What if your child's in that situation and you want to hear from your kid?
Well, they've got to dig for it in their backpack? Really? That's going to happen? I don't buy that. Listen, we've already proven, every study tells us that between the ages of 8 and 17, kids are on their devices online between 6 and 9 hours a day. That's plenty of time. The emergency argument is a really remote chance that that's going to happen. Like the old days, you called the office if you wanted your kid.
But this isn't the old days, and if you're a parent and you've ever tried to reach a school, you go from voicemail to voicemail, and it's very hard to reach your child. And as far as thinking that it should be like the old days, no cell phones, I mean, it's just not realistic. And if you're in an emergency situation, you need to have that cell phone. You need your child to be able to reach you.
Larry?
Again, we're planning for the what if. What if this happens? What if rarely happens? We can what if ourselves into a, I know, but it happens on such a small percentage of overall. I do not expect my teachers to be regulating whether they get on this cell phone or not and use it. Besides that, from a practical standpoint, I can tell you right now, if I'm a kid and I'm in class, I will sit there on my phone regardless of what the teacher says. And you know what most kids will do? They will cheat. In about 5 seconds, I can get the answer to any question in the world on a cell phone.
Hey, Erica, would you, if your kids have cell phones, we were having this debate this morning before the show, would you want to know what your kids are texting to each other? Do you monitor what they're texting?
I don't monitor what they're texting because I do like to give them some degree of privacy. They're teenagers. If I think that something's going on or there's something suspicious, I have a conversation with them, but I do not spy on my kids.
Larry, how do you feel about this?
I believe, Erica, that you live in an idealistic world. You know, I wrote a best-selling parenting book, too, and I'm saying we need to trust but verify.
I also believe that great parenting can lead to great kids, and I'm very proud of my kids, and I talk to them, and I try to get them to talk to me as much as possible, and I do think that you do have to give them some degree of privacy, and if you don't, you're not raising them to be independent. We want to raise our kids to be independent.
I don't know what I'll do when Hayden is that age, but I kind of want to know what she's talking to her friends about. Is that wrong of me as a parent to want to monitor what they're talking about, especially if I'm paying for the cell phone?
Well, of course you want to know what they're talking about, but you do have to let them talk to each other and be good friends with their friends, and you can't always be listening to everything. But if you're always observing and you actually have their friends come to the house, sit and talk to their friends, because you learn a lot about them.
Yeah, you do. That's true. But some kids don't open up.
We need to teach our kids. We need to teach our kids that cell phones are way down the list on what's important. We have a recent study, 22% of millennials have 0 friends. It's because they haven't been allowed to interact. I wouldn't pick up my phone right now in the middle of this interview because it would be disrespectful to you. It would be disrespectful to the task at hand.
But that's a
parenting issue. We need to teach
courtesy
and respect.
You got to teach your kids courtesy, and you have to teach them that when you go to dinner or you're in a social situation, you do not pick up the phone.
You both bring up valid points.
You can, but they don't.
Thank you. Both of you are bestsellers.
Thank
Both
you.
of you are great parents. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, take a look at this. It looks like something out of